get our meeting going officially here and everything. So we spent the first 15 minutes or so in executive session today for the stamp on the camera there. It's Monday, May 13th, 2019. It's about 6:20 at night at the Bell Johnson Center. Present tonight, Eric Barnes, Secretary. Ellie, say your last name, I'll mess it up.
Pena-Benaroche.
Thank you very much. Knew it was going to go sideways. Are you you're a member at large, right? Do you have a role? Yeah, member at large.
Yeah.
Sort of thinking in my head, officer position. Virginia Pugh, who is the vice president. Cindy McIntyre, who is our treasurer, outgoing. And myself, Rob Smith, who's the president. So let's talk about Sydney, and we'll talk about one thing that Sydney has done for us since he started working with the board in 2013, the finances. So everybody is aware that Sydney has nearly sold his home. One more day.
Thursday, close Thursday, 3:30.
So the date's already moving, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's supposed to be tomorrow, then it was Friday, now it's Thursday.
It's moving target.
And so we'll see, I'll let you know. I might still be here next year, I don't know.
Well, congratulations on selling your home, an unfortunate thing for us.
We're happy for you.
We are,
Thank you, I appreciate
we're
that.
unhappy for us.
It wasn't because I didn't like the community, I just wanted a smaller house.
We're happy for you. We are happy for you.
So with that, one of the things, knowing that was coming up, I put it out through the neighborhood that we're looking for anybody who's interested in taking on the position of the treasurer. It's a board position. I put that out. We got a pretty good list, actually, of nobody who put in saying that they were interested in serving on the board.
That's a pretty
Or
large list.
so we have quite the selection.
The entire community didn't give us a list.
Out of the entire community.
Nobody volunteered.
Nobody gave us a list. So, I think we could probably try to advertise. I like the social media advertising first because I thought, well, there's enough active people that's where you're going to get your most active people because they're already engaged in some way. That didn't work. So maybe we fish around the community. We may just have to let the position run empty until Sid's gone, which would mean what we'd have to do is I'll just say it now so we've got it locked in future votes, when the board goes to vote, the three of you would handle any votes for anything. I would have to abstain from all votes. That way, it's easy. You can just say, look, the president abstains. I'm not involved in the vote. I could have a say in what I want to say or whatever, but when it comes to the voting, that way there's a tie break. So that's the way we would have to handle that between now. And we've only got 2 more months before the next election.
Now, legitimately, I could stay on the board, couldn't
Yes, you can maintain your position on the board.
I? I don't mind staying on the board until next election. I'm okay.
There you go. Cindy's on the board until the next election. You're locked in now.
Thank you, Jesus.
And it's recorded.
Yes, I knew my
like, no,
I just got to learn how to do all the bookkeeping.
I had always intended on staying on the board until the election, because the election's in July, isn't it, or June?
Yeah, it's a couple months out. So
Yeah, so I don't have any problem staying on the board until then. That's not a big deal.
Cool.
We love you.
It's so
We've got
sweet.
Sydney for a little
You're
while.
so sweet.
Thoughtful of you.
I'm doing it for Ellie because I like her so much, and she's such a great neighbor.
Think how
And we have
amazing
that
you are.
recorded too.
You just grab that sound clip and make it a ringtone.
I know, right? Yes, I will.
You like, you remember this? Rewind
Remember
it.
that one time?
Anytime Sydney calls you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, well that makes it a little less uncomfortable going forward here at least. So how's the finances look, Sid?
As I sent you guys our April finances, April looked really good. It's one of the better ones I've seen, actually. We're right on top of where we need to be revenue-wise. We're just $500 difference on our revenues. Most of our expenses are under, some significantly so, but as I said in the letter or the email I sent, the 2 biggest ones are landscaping and some of the maintenance and our insurance. Insurance, we haven't paid that yet, or it hasn't showed up. I think we will pay it in May. It hasn't showed up, so that'll be a significant chunk. And then landscaping, I would fully expect to see some expenditures happening through the summer on landscaping as we get geared up for improvements on landscaping, because we do need a little bit of work. So I think those two are going to balance things out. The only other one is I'm really happy to see electricity is running behind what it was running last year, so we're actually under budget by about $2,000 on electricity so far. Now, that doesn't mean that once the pool gets ramped up and everything gets running through the summer, that things won't ramp up and our electrical bills will run up again. But as it stands right now, we are running a little behind our 4-month average on electricity. That's really it. As I said, insurance and landscaping, those two should make themselves up in the next month or so, depending on landscaping and what Ellie has. I'd like to hear from her on what we have coming up. But we've got $20,000 budgeted for landscape projects, and we haven't spent anything yet. So, two other things. My only principal concern is our delinquency balance. It's at $20,000 this month, which is as high as I can ever remember it being, Rob. I don't remember it ever being over about $15,000 in the 4 years I've been on the board. But I know it goes up and down, and then it's just as likely to come down. But we do need to keep an eye on that. The other item I'd ask the board to consider is our beginning of year target balance in our reserve fund was $398,000. We have $331,000 in there now. We typically wait till the end of the first quarter of the next year before we bring that fund up to balance, up to our target balance, so that we make sure we have enough money in working capital to be able to pay bills and that kind of stuff. Well, we're through the first quarter. We've got $265,000 in our working capital fund. I would recommend that the board go ahead and transfer the $67,000 out of our working capital over into our reserve to bring our reserve balance up to $398,000. That'll get us our beginning year target, which is set by the reserve study that we have done. That's about it, unless somebody has questions.
Did we ever get it set for the inspection on the retaining wall? Because that'd be the only thing that may impact
Yes,
if we should move money yet, or if we're gonna have other expenses.
that
Because I
was,
think that was gonna come out of the reserve anyway, so if that's gonna be an issue, we wanna wait to move it until we
Yeah,
find out
we
if we need
really
to
don't
use
have
or
to
not.
pay it out of reserve. It's just we would transfer less into reserve than
Yeah.
otherwise. So, yeah, we could certainly do that if we want.
I'm asking Ashley to send me a quick delinquency list so I can talk about the delinquency side of things, and I'm also, did I send you guys a copy of the contract with ECS when we were doing, that was who's gonna do the retaining wall?
I didn't get the contract, just the general.
Yeah, I just got
This
the
is how much it's
description.
gonna be.
Right.
What did I,
It's
what
gonna
did I
be a
say?
couple
it was
grand,
gonna
wasn't
be?
I think it was 2,000.
Yeah.
Something like that.
If you need a delinquency list, it's on the last email that I sent you. It's
Is it on there?
attached. It's under that. It's not on there, it's on the PDF that's attached to that. Yeah, go to the bottom of that, you'll see that.
That's what I was looking for. Cool. All right, so looking at delinquencies, just so, because I know, like Sydney was just saying, is it down here?
Yeah, it's
There it is.
down the
Okay.
bottom. There it is.
Cindy pointing out delinquencies being, what was the amount?
$20,034.68.
So actually, that's, okay, here we go. So looking at those, we have one owner who is with the attorney that is $2,000 of that. So when they're with the attorney, that means like this one is more than 90 days out. It's full of, that's a large amount, obviously, $2,000. You divide that up, that's a single family home. So that balance, $2,004.22, takes up a big chunk. And when they go to the attorney, that means they're on the edges of either foreclosure or they're on the edge of, they're doing some sort of payment plan. So probably that one will go to the attorney or go to foreclosure next. Next one down, that's a big one, $1,860. That is a townhome. That's one that's popped up on the radar, cleared its account before, popped up, cleared its account. I recognize the name instantly. So over the years, that one's paid and not paid. So that one will go to the attorney. They're on second notice. I don't know why they're only on second notice, honestly. I've got another one that's on second notice. This one is also a townhome. It's $1,315. Single family home. This one is $1,080. We have another one that's in with the attorneys right now that's actually gone down because they're making payments at the attorney. This one's down to $890 from, I want to say it was right around $3,000 at one point with attorney's fees and everything they owe. I have another one that is no, this one's a townhome. This one is $800. I have another one that is a single family home that's $760. I have another one that's a townhome that's in its second notice, $585.
Really, it's less than 10%.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Just kind of giving you the big numbers. So most of them are, the big ones are over $600, which for single family homes, that's more than a year, right? Are we at $650 right now?
We're at 155 a quarter, so we're 620, I think.
Okay. So what I want to ask the board as far as finances go is everything above 760 is well into the policy on sending those to the attorney. So what I would ask is just, hey, are you guys okay with me going ahead and moving everything above that 760 and up to the attorney and have them go ahead and move forward if that's where we are with it?
That's fine.
On
Now that means-
September 10th, we said anything above 600 was going to go.
Okay, so we're already
that's
there?
fine.
Cool. Okay. So we'll send those over if they're not already there. And they may be in, I don't have Ashley here tonight in person. I told her that I would send her messages and questions if we had anything, but we may be at that point. We'll just get some more information on that. What else if they're asked or if there's something for the building.
So you have it now?
Yeah, I actually got it. So I'll get you on speakerphone just so you know. So I think in September we said everything above 600 was going to go over to the attorney. I'm looking at the latest list and there's a couple that are 760, 801, 890. We got a couple of them that are above that are not marked as being at the attorneys. They're marked second notice, but with them being as far out as they are, any idea why they would just say second notice on them? Is that just the way the system is, or?
Well, for a little while, we were holding off on doing anything until the delinquencies and the reports were running out correctly. Because some folks, it was showing if they owed, let's say that they owed $1,000, it was showing $2,000. So we knew all that was wrong. But since then, of course, it's 6 now. If that's April, so those folks that you're looking at have already been turned over to the attorney as of last week.
Okay.
So, yeah, so once the reports were running correctly, Brittany went ahead and sent everyone $600 and over to the Cape Trotter.
Okay. Can you, not tonight, but, obviously, but can you send me a list of the ones that are actually with the attorney after tonight's
Absolutely.
meeting? So I can give that to the board.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I'll update you guys on that. And what else do we have?
Just that the balance transfer, and we already talked about that, so I think that's about it.
Is balance transfer, is that something we can hold until our July meeting so that we can do that? We're
I
going
think
to
we
do
can.
a short meeting right before the annual meeting?
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Right.
Was there anything else?
What about, one of the things that came up with the ECS, we were going to have them do the retaining wall project. Is that still moving forward, you know?
That is still moving forward, and the check has been mailed.
Okay.
Have we paid our insurance yet?
Insurance has been paid, yes.
Okay, but it didn't show up in the April, so it'll show up in the May financials.
Correct. They just sent me the bill maybe 4 or 5 days ago.
Okay, what was the total on that? You remember?
Oh my goodness. Off of my head, I'm not gonna look when I get home. I think we paid. See, I want to keep saying I have like 1,600, 1,700 in my head. But I'll be home in like 2 minutes and I'll just look it up and I'll tell you exactly what we paid.
You mean 16,000?
Oh yeah, the total thing is 16,000.
Okay,
But we were paying like quarterly payments.
cool.
So, yeah, there's no way it was 1,600. Actually, I will send that bill over to you for you to look at.
Yeah, that's fine. I was just wondering. I knew it was significant below what we had budgeted, so, so we got a little extra, in the budget then. That's good. No, Ellie, you can't have it. Okay. Thank you.
When is
I don't know if I
ECS
want
coming
it.
out?
It used to be.
Any idea?
They can't
Any
have
idea
it.
when
Yeah,
ECS?
but does she have the date
You
for
can't
it?
have it.
Any idea when ACS is planning to do the?
The retaining wall?
Yeah.
No, but you know what? When I take out my computer, I will send them over a quick email and ask them when you guys can be scheduled for the project.
Cool. Yeah, I'm sure they're gonna need somebody to be able to meet with them, anyways. So,
I went through there, cleaned up trash, so I could go around with them.
do you know where that wall is now? Can you see it?
I
was
mean,
trying
I
to
can't
find
see
the
it.
other day,
It's
and I
behind
couldn't.
my house. You won't be able to see it from the road.
I went around to the other street and was trying to look at it, and I was like, I know it's down there because I remember.
Oh,
You
you
have
can't
to,
see
you
it.
have to basically walk down next to my house and then turn left. It's all the houses not going toward Virginia's house, but the next like 5 or 6 in a row, it's all retaining wall that they drop off
Maybe
onto.
we should do like a nature hike at some point and see. 'Cause
It's nasty down there.
It's been a long time since I've been able to see the thing. At one point, it was one of the reasons I went ahead and said, hey, we should just go with DCS. One, we've used DCS. They were the ones that monitored the pool for us, the pool construction. And the other thing was, the one company was like wanting me to give them dimensions of the wall and all kinds of stuff. ECS is like, we can do a visual inspection, it's no big deal. Because if they go out there and they see an issue, they're just going to say, hey, we probably need to do a little more because, so don't get too excited about the 2,000. 'Cause it
Yeah,
might be
'cause
that we need to.
well, no, I mean, we've got
Yes.
money in the budget to do
Right.
that, so that's, actually, I will be contacting the audit company for our financial audit this year, and then they will get in touch with you to request documents and stuff like that from you.
Sure.
Hey, and also Sid said he's going to go ahead and stay on
Yeah,
with
no,
us
it's
until the July meeting, so he's not abandoning us quite yet.
Yeah, I think I saw that in an email that he sent.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure we actually got him to say it out loud so before I held him to it.
That way there are witnesses. Good idea.
Yeah, when you walk into the actual meeting, you might change your mind, but. All right, cool. I will, I'll give you, is there anything else while I've got her on the phone?
Thanks. Thank you, Ashley.
I'll call you,
You're welcome.
I'll call you if there's something else that pops up.
Okay, and I will send over that stuff right now.
Oh, awesome, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
The disembodied voice of Ashley. So I have a town homeowner. It's funny, she was just talking about how the system was messed up. I have a town homeowner who says, hey, she sent me a thing. She says, do you have any clue? I'm not familiar with this vernacular, but she says what this is. And she says, I've never paid late, and I always pay over. She got a bill basically saying she owes money that she clearly feels like she doesn't, and I don't see any reason to doubt her. So, still something wonky going on with their billing system. It seems to be kind of hit and miss. I've not had as many complaints as I did back when the system went crazy, but yeah. So
I think if you thought you made a payment, you would check your account to see if the payment came out.
I always do that every month. I have a check sheet, but you know, automated. People don't know phone numbers these days.
I have too much crap coming out of mine and be like, oh my God.
People don't know their own phone numbers, so it's
Have
not
to sit
surprising.
down.
It's a different world memory-wise. You don't have to remember anything anymore. So. All right. Anything else financial?
No, sir, that is it. I will be contacting, as I told Ashley, I'll contact the auditors and get things set up, unless the board wants to talk about whether we need to go another direction. It's normally about between $1,500 and $2,000 for accounting. We budget it every year. We're required by the bylaws to do the audits. So, unless the board has an objection, I'll go ahead and contact them and get them started on the 2018 audit.
Yep. Good man.
It's the one actual job in the church.
All I do. That's right. Okay, that's it.
Cool. Landscaping.
Yeah, I didn't really bring anything with me today. But I mean, I really haven't had a lot of time to actually sit and talk with Jason. I know you've probably talked with him more than I have.
I talked to
And
them
texted a little
before.
bit back and forth, but we're still waiting to hear back from him as far as coming up with a plan when it rains on Fridays, because I think over the past few months, it's been raining every single Friday, and then here we are 3 weeks later, and they haven't come throughout the week. And from what he says, he can't come throughout the week because he has other commitments and so forth. But I think the last time he talked to you on the phone, he was going to come up with some sort of plan in the event that it does rain on Fridays. What day of the week, that following week, could he at least send a few people out? Yeah, whether it be, you know, they can do it all in one day or they have to split it up between 1 or 2 days. So I'm still waiting to hear back on him from that, unless he got in touch with you.
No, nothing specific.
No.
And so when I reached out, it was when we were having the grass had not been mowed in several weeks.
Yeah,
The
I
rain
think it was 3
interfering,
weeks,
but
and the
gra-
weeds were,
Yeah. And
Very
at one
good.
point they had sent some people out because Elliot contacted them and said, "Hey, what's going on with landscaping? You know, we're getting some rabble rousing and everything. People are getting frustrated. They get guests coming over and the grass is a foot tall." And he sent some people out to try to do what they could with it, but of course they're working with just a few guys and at that point, and they're running around trying to clean it up. So then I reached out and was like, "Hey, what's going on with this? You know, I've never talked to you before, but this is a problem." So he and I had a good conversation where he kind of gave me a little more of an insight into his business. I was under the impression it was a very small business. He's got like 20 guys, 25 guys, something like that, you know, total in his office staff, and everybody was out on the field. And their residential policy is if it rains, they don't mow that day or the day after because of damage to the lawns. Because you bring those big mowers out, you're gonna run them around. The problem is they don't seem to have a plan for if it rains, which
Right.
Virginia and I have talked about, you know, multiple times. It seems like when the grass, you know, what if it rains every Friday? Do we just not mow the grass all summer long? So there's got to be a plan. So after I called him, and my reason for calling him when I caught him on the phone was to tell him, "Hey, listen, the board's sick of this. We're going to fire you. Are you not getting that? You know, maybe he just didn't believe Ellie when she's trying to tell him, hey, this, you know, you got to do something."
Right.
So I was in no, you know, I didn't mince words at all. I was like, you know, I'm calling you to tell you, I'm putting you on notice that you're going to be fired. We're going to terminate your contract because you're not doing your job. What's the deal? He was very responsive. He was apologetic. He immediately sent a whole crew of guys out, which the bad thing is when you jump and you send a crew out, and he was honest enough to tell me this too. He said, the bad thing is I'm going to jump and I'm going to send a crew out there, I'm going to get it all done. But the problem is that's going to be something that everybody's going to think you can always do that. He paid overtime to have his guys come out and do that work. So that was not something they were instantly prepared to do. So
that was Easter weekend, wasn't it?
no,
I think that was,
No, that's
the weekend before or 2 weekends
okay,
before, something like
okay,
that.
all right.
But yeah, I mean, they were supposed to be done for the night, and instead of the guys being done for the night, he called his crew and was like, "Will you work extra? Because I've got this I got somebody who called me and said they're going to fire us. Will you work extra?" And the guys were like, "Yeah, I'll work extra." And they mowed until like 8 o'clock at night, and then they came back and finished it the next morning,
yeah,
I think. Because he told me, he's like, "Look, I don't mean to make anybody upset, but if you want it done, I'll get somebody out there to mow Saturday morning. We're going to have people complaining that they're out there mowing Saturday morning." So people did. I got a few messages from people who were like, "Why are they mowing on Saturday?" It's like, because you wanted your grass mowed, and that's the best I could do for you, and I'm not
Yeah.
going to make apologies. So we got to find some sort of happy medium, and we've discussed it before, and I think the board's probably there where we all agree on it, that we've got to dedicate more money to the landscaping budget so that we can either pay for the services we want. Because part of the problem we run into with the landscaping contract is it doesn't cover all the things, and it's not Ellie's fault. It's the board's fault. When Ellie was trying to mix apples to apples contracts, she was doing the best she could with the contract she had U.S. Lawns wise. She put that over to them. Well, U.S. Lawns was doing a lot of things under the contract, either because they thought it was something they were supposed to do, or they'd been doing it that way for so many years because we had the same contract with them. But U.S. Lawns was doing a lot of things under the contract that we're not getting under Pinnacle. So we're getting mad at Pinnacle, like, "Why aren't you doing this?" It's like, because it's not what we're getting paid to do. So that's part of the problem, is we're not paying for all of the services we want.
Such as?
Well, one thing
The leaf
specifically is,
removal
yeah,
was-
leaf
was one
removal,
big thing.
that's extra.
Well, we've got that budgeted as an extra cost of $2,800.
So we have money
This year, yeah.
for it.
Right.
We've also got anything to do with the sprinklers. I don't think they do anything with sprinklers, do they?
Well, that's something that we do need to talk about
Yeah.
into some
So what
point
about the
real
flowers?
soon.
So the flowers are an extra thing, but that was an extra thing under
Right.
We
your.
got,
But that's
we got
budgeted
5,000
for
budgeted for
We
that.
budgeted
I
it.
think the biggest problem we run into is the sprinkler system. I don't think Pinnacle has anything in their contract with sprinkler system, and that was all covered by U.S. Lawns. They
Right.
would damage them, they would replace them, they would turn them on and off for us and winterize them.
Yeah,
we pay
that's
extra-
about it.
Winterization? Did we pay extra for winterization? Did we do winterization?
I'm pretty sure that they did that for us.
I think that was like okay, we'll help you guys out.
Right.
But it wasn't something. So it's a matter of. And when we brought in other businesses, because remember I used to always throw my hands up at our board meetings for those of us who've been on the board for years. I would say, why are we paying like $30,000 to mow the grass? Can't we hire somebody to mow the grass for like $15,000? I mean,
Right.
good Lord, I'll mow the grass. Well, as the time goes by, you start realizing you bring multiple companies in, and they look around and they go, yeah, it's like $40,000 a year. Another company comes out, it's about $45,000 a year. So then we bring out a company like Pinnacle, and we say, we need you to work within these constraints right here, $30,000 a year. So they're like, okay, and they, I mean, it's like going into a car lot. You're cutting it down to, there's no leather
Bare
seats.
minimum.
You're not getting, you got a manual transmission, your smallest 4-cylinder engine. So we were running with the bare minimum. For anybody who doesn't understand cars, you got a spec house, look around your house. You either paid for the upgrades or you didn't. So we're in that boat with the landscaping company, where we are hiring a company that isn't necessarily a bad company, but we're putting them under such constraints, and then we're getting mad because of the kind of service we're getting. Now, when I explained to the neighborhood, hey, the board has to find money to cover this stuff, and we all talked about we probably need to increase that budget, immediately I got backlash of, oh, you're going to raise the dues. And I'm like, I never said I was going to raise the dues. I said, we need to find money to work on it. We have a nice position here with the insurance right this second. We're hopefully, with the savings we're getting from the insurance by reducing it down, that'll leave money for us to do landscaping, but we'll probably have to adjust our budget going into next year to make sure that we can.
I think you probably want to renegotiate your landscape contract to get more amenities in the contract and then see where you settle. And I think you're going to be around 40 grand. You're going to be about 11,000 over where we're at right now.
Even if it's not Pinnacle.
Yeah, and
Right.
we've got 20,000 extra for landscape supplies and projects. So we've got 8,800 for tree trimming that we haven't done yet. 1,200 for shrub replacement we haven't done yet. 8,500 for flowers and leaf removal, and 2,300 for aerating and reseeding.
Are they gonna plant any flowers whatsoever
I
this
thought we were
year?
gonna change it out and not do flowers.
Well,
and do something
I think the last time we talked,
permanent.
we were gonna look into the options of possibly doing,
Some sort of stay
Some
out
sort
there
of-
greenery.
somewhat.
Stay out there forever greenery.
Rock
Was that kind of the
garden.
plan?
Yeah, we were gonna either talk about possibly doing a rock garden that may cost a little bit more upfront, but would, over the years, save a lot more money. If you know where I'm going with that. I mean, a rock garden costs maybe about $10,000.
And the deer won't eat it.
And the deer won't eat it, obviously.
Are we
But
sure?
it doesn't cost that much to
My dog
maintain
eats
it.
rocks, but
In rock gardens, you may need to replace a few things after 7 to 10 years.
How attractive are rock gardens and what do they do from a standpoint of property value?
I would have to. I'd have to
I mean,
see it
I-
honestly, because I don't know what it looks like either. But
I think Jason at one point in time was
Right now,
going
that's
to
like
email
crap.
me like a couple of ideas that he had, but
I think if we figure out something that looks nice when you pull in, if it's whether it's flowers or rock garden, if it looks nice when you pull in, people
That's
will
all
pull in and
matters.
keep driving past it.
Right.
Right now, when I pull in, my wife every single time we pull in, my wife goes, "Gosh, that was terrible." So
right, because it's just weeds
I said
growing.
same thing.
yeah, and I think it's just weeds and
Yep.
garbage. One of the things we ran into, and Ellie was pointed out to me, is she's found herself having less time to help with the landscaping too. So that was one of the things we were talking about, because we got all these little projects like, can we do this, can we do that? And she's like, I want to get them done, but I don't have enough time, because she's had a lot of things going on in her personal world, which we can all relate to that. So I did reach out to the person you suggested. I got 0 response back. I don't know if it's because I don't have the best way to contact them.
Okay.
So maybe if you have a better contact, you could
Okay.
hit them up yourself.
Who was that for?
We weren't going to say any names openly
Yeah.
because I don't want to put anybody on the spot.
Right.
But we've had several people who've been pretty interested in this stuff, but I problem we run into is immediately have somebody go, yeah, I want to be totally involved, and then they really don't realize the amount of effort it takes to
Right.
keep up.
And
We
the amount of
shoved Ellie into
communication that you have
position.
to have with these people. I mean, it's not just making a few phone calls a month. Like, I feel like I have to text and call these people like almost on a weekly basis, if not 2 to 3 times a week. And
And you should.
it shouldn't even, I know, it shouldn't.
Yeah,
It shouldn't,
that's
because
just too much. Because
they should be able
it
to
should be
run
on
business
autopilot,
themselves.
autopilot until you decide. Like, I got somebody that comes to mow our yard, he comes
Right.
autopilot. Unless I want some flowers, unless I want something else. It just should be, I know you're gonna be here this week to do this. And if it's raining, he texts me and he says, hey, it's raining, so I'll be here 2 days this day.
Right.
It
You see what
seems
I'm
to be a
saying?
consistent problem in Lancaster County where every vendor you hire, you have to handhold them. It's so frustrating.
Aggravating.
Except for AMG
It
most
really
of the
is.
time. That's
I've
about the only
never- I've never experienced that. Honestly, I mean, I know you told me about that before, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Now I know what you're talking about.
I had to do it with
and
my
it's like,
realtor.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's aggravating.
And I've had to do almost the whole deal myself.
Yeah.
I don't want to pay my realtor.
Right.
That's
Just
the way it
because-
works.
It's very frustrating. But
They put it on that website.
I've asked.
No,
That's what I
but
pay it for.
I don't know, it's must
I
be something
would
about.
like to, at
That's
some
really
point, within the next week or so, get all of my emails together with all the options of what we can do, at least for the summertime. Flowers, rock garden, I think
Tree
we were.
trimming.
Tree trimming. Then we were still gonna do the replacement of shrubs. 'Cause
Shrub
there were
replacement.
about 15 to 20, 25 shrubs that needed to be replaced.
Aerating and reseeding,
Yeah.
that should come, for Bermuda grass, that should have come in spring. So I think we missed that one. If it's Bermuda, if it's right, we do it in the fall.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna be 90 degrees on Saturday, so we probably have missed out on flowers.
We'll just stick some plastic out there.
Sure, that sounds like a good idea.
Deer won't eat that.
No.
I mean,
Are we sure about that?
we can plant some summer greenery maybe, some flowers, and a couple flowers and summer greenery maybe. Do something like that. Just pick them out and just tell them what to do. And then with the shrubs, I can help. I can mark them if we, just go out and put the ribbons on them and tell them which ones you want to replace or whatever. So,
We can't get them to cut the grass.
right.
How are we gonna
Yeah,
get
I
them
think
to come
that really
change-
has kind of
dig
been
out
like
shrubs
the
and-
main focus
I
is
think
just
I think
getting
if the grass was mowed
getting
on
the
a
grass
consistent
cut
basis,
and
then we
getting
can
the
move
Then
forward.
weeds
we
treated.
can
You know what I mean?
expand our world.
If that was happening on a regular basis, then we could talk about
Well, I'm going to make
everything
a comment.
else.
I have an idea when we shut that camera.
Well, it may be that if we can't, since I had the conversation, that's been a few weeks ago, it seems like the grass mowing's been a little more consistent. Just because he knows he's got 2 sets of eyes watching him, and he knows the board's mad. Because it wasn't like I called him and I was like, I'm personally mad at you. I was like, the board is upset with you, and I am going to fire you because that's what they're going to tell me to do. You need to fix your problem. So he immediately was like, can I have 30 days to fix the problem? I was like, sure, that's reasonable. And it's going to take me at least 30 days to find somebody to replace you anyways. Can't fire you right away. We had that problem with U.S. Lawns. Remember we were trying to have an overlap, and U.S. Lawns like, since you hired somebody else, we just won't show up.
right.
That turned into a whole thing. Another thing that you're like, what? What is even happening in this world?
People won't honor their
Oh,
obligations.
I'm telling you. So, yeah. So that's a frustration.
Well, I
but-
tried to get a fence put up, and I've had like 4 people say they come in to quote a fence, and they ain't in
See?
yet.
Well, what's funny is
got mine
so
from
that's-
Lowe's.
that's from a personal experience. So you're
Yes.
like, look, I'm trying to get somebody to come out
Trying
and give
to
me a
give me
fence,
some
and I
money.
can't do it. Anybody, I don't know what it is, but
don't know what it is,
anybody who
about what
calls
this
a
is.
contractor around here and says, I'd
I
like to
think
get
it's
a
a
quote.
I really think it's a southern thing. Like,
I
really do
had
think
a
it's
guy
a
come
southern
out
thing.
from
I've never
irrigation
had that type
and
of
just never called me
experience
back. I was
when
like, I want to
when
get
I
it put
lived up
in.
north.
Like, I'll pay you that amount of
With
money.
contractors, I
His
mean,
daughter was getting married. Never
nice.
really
It's
screwed
all
him.
they
Stuck
come
to
out.
it.
Man.
I'm like, I'm
They don't
in the wrong
need
Backyard will
business
survive or
side,
not
like-
survive
Well,
without
that's-
Who's got
irrigation.
time for that?
That's one of those things where whenever I'm talking with somebody from the community, they'll be like, "Why don't you get this done?" And I'm like, I actually had a good example. It turned out very good because I went and just talked with them in person, and they're good people. We had a townhome owner who had a pretty bad leak. Like when they described the leak to me, I was like, "Oh, okay, you have a bad leak. I understand." Then I saw it was like a hose was turned on and water was just pouring out of their ceiling. I was like, "Wow." That was a really bad leak. So I got where their panic came from. They had water running continuously out of their ceiling. And this was weeks ago. And as soon as he called me, the guy called me on a Saturday. He said, "Hey Rob, I hate to bother you on the weekend, but I have a running faucet in my ceiling," which I didn't understand was he had a running faucet in the ceiling. And I said, "Okay, great. Let me get off here and make a phone call." So I called our preferred contractor that we use, which the name of the company is totally escaping right now. Storm Guard. Chris lives in our neighborhood. He is a manager with Storm Guard. He lives in the townhomes, so he's completely sympathetic to the situation. So I called Chris and I was like, "Remember when you and I talked about you being our preferred vendor?" And I told everybody, "That's fine, I'll make you the preferred vendor." "Okay, I need the preferred vendor stuff. We have a leak in the house. What can you do?" He's like, "Not a problem." So he called the guy and explained to him, "Hey, look, obviously it's storming right now. I can't come over there. Do the best you can to catch water and stuff. As soon as it stops raining, we'll come get a look." So the guy sent him some pictures. Immediately, Chris looked at the pictures, texted me back, kept me in the loop, and said, "Yep, it's one of those bay window overhang deals. It's basically a flashing is separated right there, and it's like watering in behind it." It's like, and you can tell immediately as soon as he looked at the line. And once he says it, you look and you're like, "Ah, I see exactly what you're saying." So he knew exactly what he was talking about. He said, "We'll get somebody out there to work on it as fast as we can." Now, Monday it's not raining. I get a call from the couple, and they want to know, "Hey, why isn't somebody out here fixing this?" And I'm like, "Well, have you heard something or anything?" He's like, "Yeah, well, they told us it's going to be like Thursday before they can get out here. It's supposed to rain on like Thursday or Friday." And I'm like, "Okay, what do you want me to do?" And he's like, "Well, I mean, why can't we get this fixed?" And I'm like, we can. You called me on Saturday and said you wanted to fix that. I had a guy call you right away. They got you on the schedule. They're going to get you fixed by Thursday. It's the best I can do." And finally, I just was like, "Look, I'm on my way home right now from working all day long. Can I come see you in person so we can talk?" So I got in there and I was like, because his wife was the one that was like, "You're getting the communication back and forth, and it's very reasonable. They're panicking because water was running out of their ceiling." So I'm not mad at them at all. I get in there and I'm like, "If I gave you, I know the budget for this, it's going to cost around $800-900 to fix this. I'll just write you a check for $1,000. You have a $1,000 budget. What would you do?" She's like, "Well, I got to call and get vendors and get somebody in here." And I'm like, "Right, the same thing I would have to do." It's not different because I'm the homeowners association. I can't magical.
Press magic and push buttons.
Then they made a good point. They said, "Well, didn't you used to have the guy," because they had seen Tim from AMG out there that day checking some basic handyman stuff. They said, "What about the guy who used to get up and fix things?" And I was like, "That's Tim. He's awesome. He's a handyman. I'm paying a roofer to fix your roof. You don't want a handyman. You want a roofer to fix your roof." So
If you want it patched, we'll have a handyman.
yeah,
If
I
you
can
want
come
it
out.
fixed,
Guy come out with some
let's-
caulk and hit it.
That's right.
So
I could have done that.
they were very understanding. That made sense to them, but it's a lot of, I have to sell what we're trying to do and how much effort and time as a board member that goes into this. And I don't think people realize and recognize how much effort it takes to do the landscaping and to weekly keep up with the vendors and to, when somebody's like, "Why won't they mow the grass?" You're like, "I don't know. I called him and asked him, why won't you mow the grass?" And he said, "I'll be out there tomorrow. I don't have a lawnmower." So it's a lot of round and round and round. I think it's important for us to try to, in some way, impart that to people. So maybe somebody will tell somebody, But we are actively trying to find somebody to help you with landscaping. We're also trying to find people who are
They're
interested.
in line with the treasurer.
Yeah. Treasurer.
But you
So-
know what? We do need to talk about Debbie's tree, right?
So let's talk about the tree. What's going on with the tree?
Well, no. So back in January, I think it was January, when we, somewhere around there, she wanted to get a tree, a tree that she has in the backyard, that crepe myrtle.
Because it attracts some weeds and all
Yes.
that, right?
And I did get a quote for that,
Okay.
and I did drop the ball on that.
That's in,
I never followed back up with
That's
it.
in the townhome.
Yes,
What's the quote? You know how much?
300.
We don't even know if we get that done. So is they gonna do it? No,
Crepe myrtle?
Yeah.
No, that's
Are
about
we
right.
Are they
okay?
completely
How big
ripping
is-
it out
how
of the
big is
ground?
this tree?
How big is it? Oh, but not for
I can
$300.
just- we can just go over and saw it
That's
down
what I'm
and-
saying.
You talking about,
It's
okay, so
normal.
as you come into
How
the,
thick is it? Like,
If you
Yeah, we-
told me other-
when you come into the neighborhood,
we can just go cut it down.
Yeah.
So bring your chainsaw over.
when you come into the neighborhood right by the townhomes, there's a center island there.
Stump.
Is it about the same size as that crepe myrtle?
Why?
No, we don't have to remove it. You can
Or else
leave
they'll
stuff.
just regrow it again.
It won't. It will
Crepe myrtles?
No,
Oh,
you
yeah.
put poison.
Oh,
you can put
for
poison on
real?
top.
You
Call
killed
it
a
a
crepe myrtle before?
Okay, you know what?
You know
Listen,
what
this
I'm
what
talking
you
about. Let me tell you right
This
now.
what you do. You cut the tree down.
Don't write that
And you
check.
have somebody remove the stump because it's gonna be less to remove that stump than it is the tree. Does that make sense? Because
It
all they
would
got to
be
do
what,
is round the stump.
$50 to remove the stump, right? Isn't that where we?
He said he would cut it down to the stump.
Yeah, crepe
Yes.
myrtles are
Yeah.
very, very good about growing back. They have a really extensive, crazy root
coppice.
system.
Even if you drill holes
He's,
and
he,
put-
they'll like
That would
shred the.
Yeah,
the
so,
top of the- right? When they move it.
not that I know of. I think we should look into it. But the reason you notice that as you come in the neighborhood, there's the crepe myrtle there that we planted. You notice it doesn't get any water there, but it grew just fine. That's why we chose the crepe myrtle because we knew we could stick it in the ground and walk
I
away.
will admit that.
Yeah, they are highly. They're like bamboo, where they just grow everywhere if you get them. So we could look into whether or not we could kill the crepe myrtle. We cut it down for sure. I mean, I got
And then have
two
somebody
sawzalls.
just-
We
And
can
I
figure
think we
that
had
out.
this exact same conversation. I
Can you
think-
remove? Can't you just have somebody come in and just remove the stump? Because what they do is they ground them up.
Yeah, but I think even unless you kill the root system off, it seems like there was a big thing about the whole reason
I
we
have no
chose the
idea.
crepe myrtles because it was super hard to kill them and they would grow like crazy. So I don't know.
Grind
Maybe,
the stump up, wouldn't it?
yeah, I know. Crepe myrtles are like.
It wouldn't kill them. They grow back.
Oh, yeah, they come back. You gotta rip the root system out.
Oh, Jesus.
And that, listen,
Don't
that's a
grab-
half a day's worth of digging and axe work.
Listen.
So,
Don't listen.
And-
I mean,
listen.
that's what it requires, yeah.
Yeah.
Some sort
But
of.
if for
You can
three-
cut the tree
like
down in
if
5
he-
minutes. Getting the stump
Yeah.
out's a half
If
a
he
day.
removes it for 300.
Well, my question is,
And
do we
the
have a
camp
lot of
stuff, can you
other
guarantee that
townhomes
it
don't
with
come back?
fences with
But you don't
trees
want
within a
nobody pulling
fence?
roots and then
Because
pull a darn
technically,
pipe.
that's
'Cause they
not
probably
us,
don't know how
but
bad
we
that
just need
would
to be
be.
aware if there's 10 other people
Wouldn't that
that
be
want
his
it, that it's gonna be a $3,000 expense, not a $300 expense.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
I think that was the whole reason we
You don't
didn't
wanna
get too
pull
crazy
those-
about going nuts with the whole expensive of doing it. I mean, because I think weren't we talking at one point and I was like, yeah, if you want to cut it down, you cut it
Yeah,
down.
I just go to, he just came to landscaper last week, so I gave you.
Started getting the thing, yeah. Because I think my initial thought process was the same thing. I was like, if you need some help cutting it down, come over and saw it down. That way, if it grows, because right now it's mostly the bees, right?
And
So, I
then
mean-
it just overpowers backyard, and it's not that big, so you can't really go back there.
We can help you. We can help you hack it down. I mean, that's not really going to take that long to hack it down. It's right by the fence. I don't mind helping you hack it down, just as a neighbor. And then if it grows back and you're like, hey, that thing grew again, I'll be like, hey, here's my sawzall. It's
Yeah,
super easy to use.
It'll take a year. What it'll start doing, it'll start just
See the little-
sprouts, shoots will come out from the
Oh,
trunk.
so he did it last year. He like,
Yeah.
kind of chopped most of it down.
And they just grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll
and
come
we-
back.
We're gonna have a little Charlie Brown tree, and
Yeah, it comes
this
back.
thing is out of control.
Yeah, I mean, we can come over and just help you kind of hack it down and everything, or I'll do it or whatever. Maybe I can bid one of these guys to help me out, or
Okay.
Tony's around wants to help me chop down
Sure.
a tree for fun. Yeah, we'll just help you out with that. All right. Like I said, I got two sawzalls, so that'll just save us from spending I feel like we spent $300 to
Right.
run a chainsaw across it and throw the brushes over the fence. And,
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
yeah, that's too much. That's just crazy. No, it'd be different if he was like, yeah, $300, I'll rip that root system out. That might be worth it.
Let me look.
No,
Well, was he
that's
doing the whole
a big
root
word.
system for 300, or was it just?
I think he did say that he would remove the root system. That was
That's-
insistent.
'cause he's like-
And-
That's worth $300.
but
Yeah,
that's
he
when
was-
I said with the guarantee that
You would.
it wouldn't regrow.
He can't guarantee that.
Yeah, that's a, if he's
But
willing
if,
to.
if he's going to take the stump along with the tree, then that's worth $300. Great.
But if we're going to do that, we need to do the same thing we were talking about. We need to take an assessment of what kind of trees are growing, what kind of yards and everything. Because the last thing we want to do is start down that path of everybody who wants crepe myrtle removed. You removed one, so you got to remove them all.
Okay.
So let me know either way. and then
Did
I'll
we say
help
that
out.
the other time we were removing it, or were we just looking into it because she asked if she could remove it? I don't even
Yeah,
remember.
we told her she could remove it if she wanted to, and we would look into removing it. Was
Yeah.
kind of what we were.
That'd be my only thing is I don't think we should
What's
do
the
it because
street again? Not the address. the
Lennar?
street.
Lennar.
Lennar.
Yeah, Lennar.
So you can reference crepe myrtle and Lennar if you know Lennar.
Who is 705?
Anything else landscaping besides crepe myrtles that won't die?
Can
No.
I ask one more question?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're back in like North Carolina's right behind us. The landscape, we had a hard time getting to the fence. So last year they said that they were gonna mow, just make a path. So someone could come and do the back to
They're
mow
supposed to
by
be.
one. And they haven't. He was just there to confirm, he said. He had to make his own path.
Yeah, they're supposed to be mowing a strip along the back of those fences.
That's true.
I would guess that whoever comes out has no idea about that.
Yeah, we need to probably need to meet on site with Jason or one of his people at some point and go over a list of things that are not getting done. Almost need to. What we need is a landscaping
Yeah, like
committee.
the area down at the bottom.
Right, if you
That they
can't
almost
come, I'll
never
come.
know.
You can't do it, I'll do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That help.
I'm trying to find, I just have it here.
Pool, everything's good? Pool opening?
Pool. Want to talk about pool? Are we done with
Yeah.
landscaping?
You doing the last one? Yeah.
We can always reopen the issue.
Yeah.
So I just had to open it and pool go in.
So the pool
Sidewalk.
opened early. Let's be sure to point out the pool opened 2 weeks early. Last year we opened 1 week early.
Okay.
That is our actual real opening date is Memorial Day, right? Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Yep.
Reverse Memorial Day. So how
Labor
many-
Day before.
Labor Day Memorial is Labor Day is first.
Yes.
I always get them mixed up. Whichever one it is, we opened up several weeks.
Memorial Day is first.
Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Memorial's in
Must be
May.
nice to be
Labor's in
retired.
September. Labor Day is in September.
So.
So whatever.
So Memorial Day is our official opening weekend is Memorial Day. So anytime we open before that, so we're another week out from Memorial Day, right? Is that right?
It's next
2 weeks.
Friday.
Maybe I opened up 3 weeks early.
Yeah, it's 2
I think we opened up 3 weeks early. Yeah, because I opened up last week. So we opened up 3 weeks early. We opened up 2 weeks early last year. I was able to open up 3 weeks early this year. And I think I tried to explain to people in a post that I put on Facebook that that is our soft opening time period right now
It is next
because
Friday's weekend.
um,
Next weekend.
number one, we don't know what the weather's going to be like. So if it was an especially cold winter, I wouldn't be opening the pool early. Number two, we always know there's going to be little issues that pop up anyways. So by opening early like that, we can kind of work out the issues. And if somebody was like, you know, well, the pool's not perfect and this wasn't done, they're like, yeah, that's because we were opening early. So trying to explain to people that Memorial Day weekend to Labor Day is our normal schedule, but we're able to open up early and we can try to extend late. One of the reasons we're able to open up early is because we don't have a full-time attendant right now. The attendant doesn't kick in until Memorial Day weekend, I think it is. It's like, what, the 26th? Once that happens, every day at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you have an attendant show up. They do the cleanup and all that. Things have been running pretty good so far. One little uh-oh that I ran into was Carolina Disposal picked up the trash. First was Liberty and then Carolina Disposal picked up the trash at the pool. When we brought in the new company, which is
Active waste.
Active bought out Liberty. We have who do we have over there? Value. Yes, thank you. Value Waste. When I brought in Value Waste and I was trying to work through the trash debacle of 2018.
Great trash.
Yeah, the Great Trash Debacle of 2018, which turned into the Great Trash Debacle of 2019.
2019, yeah, it just kind of spilled over. Yeah. It's kind of like the War of 1812. The War of 1812 lasted longer than 1812.
That's right. So yeah, that's a board meeting that went for 2 days. So yeah, once I got in there and started realizing I never included the pool as a part of our plan because the pool was far off in my thoughts. So I got a hold of Mark over at Value Waste last week and was like, we opened up the pool and I totally forgot about trash. I've got 2 containers up there. Can you help me out? He said, yeah, absolutely. I'll pick up the trash on Thursday and then we'll sort it out. So he picked up the trash last Thursday. I assume because I've not gotten any raging complaints about the trash overflowing and stinking at the pool. I've not actually been up there to see it myself. But they pulled the containers out for me and I'm hoping the containers made their way back in. AJ is our area manager this year. AJ was our area manager last year. We had a lot of issues last year, so AJ and I have had several conversations about how we will not tolerate issues this year. pool logs up there. I want to get a list put up. I'm going to put a list in the little board as you walk in on the left. That's like, here's the things that the attendant does every day, so that anybody who walks in can look at that list, and if they're not being done, they can go over to the attendant and go, hey, aren't you supposed to like clean the bathrooms or something? Not lifeguards, obviously. There's still no lifeguards at the pool, and parents are encouraged to remember that unlawful conduct towards a child, unlawful neglect of a child are on the state laws, and you could be charged with neglect if you let your child do something not supposed to. Now you're in a weird land with ages. We don't set an age for the pool because federal law says we can't because of the Family Act. However, if your 6-year-old goes up to the pool and almost drowns, you're probably going to go to jail for that. You at least have to get a really good attorney to start arguing. So you are required to follow state law. We can't force you to choose that. So just like there's no age range for how old your kid is when they stay at home, there's guidelines and stuff like that that are suggested. So parents are encouraged to use good judgment with letting their kids go to the pool on their own. Somebody was asking me about putting rules in place for music. We don't have any rules for music or anything like that. We don't have any rules specifically against throwing footballs or anything at the pool. But recently, I remember last year somebody started football. Your head's at this height in the water. If a football hits you in the face, you're gonna probably need a good lawyer. So think about the things that they go up there. But we don't have any specific hard and fast rules against that. I usually tell the attendants to, if they notice somebody throwing a football or something, to check it, and if it feels like it's a real hard football, then you tell them, hey, you can't have that up there. But we don't have a specific written rule on that. The water fountains didn't open up immediately, but that turned out to be because they're on a separate water line. The bathrooms need to be repainted. The door needs to be repainted. So I'm going to look into bids for that. That'll come out of our
We've
pool
got
house
$4,000
repair
in the budget, $4,000 in the budget for
We did it
pool
last time.
repairs.
We did a great job.
Leo did it last time, and he moved out west. He was my go-to guy for stuff I
Right.
needed around the house, man.
He did
That dude was
good.
awesome. He showed me how to pressure wash my house in an hour.
Sid's moving.
Yeah, I'll come in. I got a pool of my own I got to take care of now.
Ugh,
Yeah.
it's a whole separate world.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of pool, we're gonna train
So you had a pool
to go
before?
up and do the chemical thing.
I gotta
Remember?
figure that
never
out
had a
too.
pool
I
before,
like, I like to get something that
I've
we can
resisted
easily
it for
test.
30 years.
Right.
It's a pain.
So
I used to
that
have
way,
to
if I'm
clear
just
the
driving
skimmer and
through,
do
I
the
can just
chemical.
test it real
This
quick.
is saltwater distillery.
I'm
Because
looking
we
into
don't
some-
want to get
So
caught
it's crap
in
in
that
it.
mess again.
Right.
It's saltwater. So you're gonna see if you can find
We
something.
I'm
still
looking
know
at some
it's
options
dead
for that,
stuff
and
in
I'll
it.
let you guys know what I come up with. I'll
It's
check it
not
out
what
with
you're
the
thinking.
pool
It's
budget.
not salt.
Okay.
I'll find something.
All right.
It's so you don't have to use as much
Chlorine,
chlorine.
Oh,
It is a little bit salty. You can taste salt in it, but it's not like going in the ocean.
oh.
I'm
What you
gonna
talking about? You
replace.
can
Well, then I'm not ever coming
Oh, that's an
over.
awesome pool. Oh, that's an awesome pool.
I'm gonna replace the. There's some signs up there that are pretty worn out. I asked AJ to put up a new rules sign. I'm gonna replace some of the signs up there, and also, the little flotation rings that they have that we keep up there for safety, emergency rings. That's the one. I think there's only one up there, and it's looking real moldy and everything. So we're gonna replace those. So I'm
Still
gonna do some
floats,
rules.
doesn't it?
I don't know, honestly.
Are we gonna get the grass replaced from the concrete?
Concrete.
Have it leave it, it'll grow back. in the
What
next
grass?
few
The
weeks.
grass? What grass?
Yeah, the grass between the sidewalk and the pool that they tore up to get the
Oh.
equipment in there.
We'll see. That's landscape budget. We'll see what we do with that. I would let it go for a couple weeks, see if the rain kind of beats down some of that mud and everything, because it's just all they had to do was drive a truck across it like twice or something like
Okay,
that.
well, maybe
So-
it's, yeah, Bermuda's not particularly, doesn't handle traffic very well, but it may come back, you're right.
So hopefully, and then we'll get some overseeding done or something like that. We'll see how it goes.
Get
That was the other
overseeding
thing. The concrete was done. I've not been up to see the concrete again since it was done, but I went up and took some photos of it that I showed you guys. It was at that point where somebody couldn't put a handprint in it, so hopefully we got through that stage all safely.
I missed it.
Yeah, you missed your opportunity.
Oh,
I
Are
posted
they
on
gonna-
Facebook. I was like, I hope some clown doesn't go up there and put handprints all over the
When I
top.
took the pictures, it was already past that stage. So they would have had to go up and break the concrete at that point.
Yeah, they did.
No, it's a going joke because what was it? This little kid named Matthew or somebody, a little kid that was going around.
It was never solved. Somebody
It was
was
never
putting
solved.
it was
It
either
was-
Matt. Somebody wrote Matt. We don't
Somebody
know who
wrote
Matt was.
Matt. Yeah, we
if
don't
it
know
was
who Matt was. It was
Could've
it was
been
a going
Joe
joke.
was doing it.
Exactly, but he would put his hands into the sidewalks and put Matt. And it was a big thing.
Yeah, it was
It
good.
was huge in our neighborhood because
That was like
people get
2015.
mad because it would be their driveway or they would and put Matt in it. I was cracking up.
It's the great Matt debacle of
Yep,
2014.
2014.
Um,
It was so funny.
Speaking of rules and regs, moving on from pool. I don't think there's any other things about pool you guys wonder about.
Nope.
Okay. Speaking of rules and regs, we need to look over our rules and regs book. It's been since 2015 when we released that. So yeah, so it might be time to kind of just look at it and see if there's any updates we need to do. Probably we'll put that into the next board though. So we'll just tell the next board going in, hey, it's time to review it.
Can you see me in that?
So rules and regs should be reviewed by the board going into July.
Don't get her. She gets extra.
Townhomes. We haven't spent, as far as townhomes specifically, we've not spent a bunch of money on the townhomes, so
We have some budget for that.
we still need to figure out what we're gonna do as far as caulking, painting, all that. We've gotta get a company out there to give us a good quote on that. It's probably fall before we can do it. We gotta get through. Oh, I know what I was gonna say about
Hold on
townhomes.
one.
Painting and caulking and all that, that's gotta be
Oh, that's
done this year.
It's
And
gotta be done now.
I'm like, well, I mean, we're past that.
Well,
I think it was something we were looking at doing more for fall, because we gotta see what's
Yeah.
gonna happen, because we could have like 15
that's
lines
right.
break in the water or
That's
whatever,
right.
so we were saying,
That's
let's wait for
right.
fall.
That's
But
right.
in the meantime, of course, we'll keep any maintenance done. One of the things that Chris told me when he got up there to look at the roofs, because I asked him to, hey, do a quick look at the roofs. One of the things we always complain about with the roofs is all the water leaks, and I think over the years you guys have realized there's leaks that I have to constantly give a repair okay to and everything. I've mentioned that in the past. The roofs are made of he said they're like paper thin shingles. He said it's technically a 20-year shingle, but he said it's like the junkiest 20-year shingle you could possibly get. That's why we have so many problems with the roofs, because they were slapped on with the cheapest junk, and who's surprised? And that's both manufacturers, Lennar and Eastwood. Neither of them, they probably use the same terrible roofers to knock out the same terrible roofs. Can't even blame it on the roofers. They were given junk materials and told to work on it. So the roofs, Chris was saying that looking at the roofs, he sees damage from storms and stuff. He said there's, in his own words, he's like, it's so clear that you guys have had storm damage up here. He said we should consider maybe talking to our insurance company, which I was like, don't really want to go down the insurance company route. The other thing was the possibility of looking at how much longer are we trying to make these roofs last. So that was one of the questions I was going to put to Sid was looking at the reserve study.
When
Can
they
you
have
kind
enough
of-
to phase it in.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll look
give us
into
an
that.
idea of
I'll
when
let the
that
board
is.
know.
So the reality is, if Sid looks at the reserve study and says, we're supposed to last another 5 years, but he could also come back and go, however, you could bump that up and do the roofs in the next year, 2 years, and just then you would have, you'd have another 20 years or whatever. So
Do we have any idea what it would cost to replace the roofs on all the townhomes?
zero idea whatsoever. Once you give me an idea on how long we're supposed to last, if the roofs are supposed to have another 8, 10 years on them, then, we're
How long have
fine.
they been there now? It's only been 8 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if, hopefully when they did the reserve study, they didn't actually last, I think those roofs would last
No.
20 years.
No, the Lennars had been there for about 8 years, but those Eastwood had been there longer than that, about
Yeah, the
14.
Eastwoods they started building the Eastwoods in late 2008.
Yeah,
They
yep.
started building you're on the Lennar side, right?
So the-
What year is your home built? 2015?
2015.
That's what I was
Yep.
thinking, like 2014, 2015?
Mm-hmm.
What we might want to consider and be wise is to phase that in.
Oh, we'd have
to do a couple townhome sections every year for 2 or 3 years until we get it done. I'll look tomorrow.
One thing we could even do too, I can pull the county GIS and see what buildings were built at what time frame. And then we could say, okay, well, these two were built this year, and just that would have to be a phase in. So give the board the ability. But that's something are going to do one day. That's the reason the dues are so high for the townhomes. When people are like, why are my dues so high? They're so that somebody can get a roof someday. It may not be you. You may have sold your townhome by then, but somebody will have a new roof at some point. And the benefit is when somebody, when you're living there, you're like, well, then it doesn't do me any good. It does, because when somebody comes in and they go, gosh, I will tell you, the homeowner's inspection, when we did an inspection, the roofs on these things are looking pretty terrible, and go, well, the good news is the HOA is properly funded, the reserve, to the point where they can afford to replace roofs. So
Right.
we're in a good position. Either
It's
way.
one of the reasons we manage our reserve surplus.
Yep. Do you have an HOA where you're moving to? Now you gotta be your own HOA. Save your
Yeah,
own.
but I've only got my house. I don't have anybody else I gotta listen to. I'm fine with being my own HOA.
Oh,
And if I don't like how I'm doing, I'll fire me.
So you're fired.
Must be nice.
I'll let somebody else.
So townhomes,
Cool.
pool, landscaping, budget. Anything you want to talk about on
Actions.
inspections?
Weren't really any issues. I went back for the lawn one was the 428 I went through. And actually, we had one homeowner that liked to complain about other people's pressure washing. So I was like, hey, if you want to go around, and she actually went around and did her own inspection and sent me a list. So I went and double checked the ones that she had.
Nice.
So
So you
there
got somebody else to help
is
you?
someone that is helping with
I
inspection.
like
Yes.
this type of neighbors.
So you got a committee. Nice.
I
Yes.
know, of one
That's awesome.
anonymous person.
That
Yeah.
counts, man.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So those letters, I think, should have gone out last week or this week. I got asked Ashley and she has sent them out, but it was mainly just yard stuff and some pressure washing that got missed on our first
So this would be like
inspection.
our spring inspection for pressure washing, and then you're gonna do like a late fall one,
Yeah.
assuming you're around still.
Because anything that we obviously saw on the March one we got, but we just drove down roads pretty quickly and weren't really looking. So if you went the wrong way down pretty much the entire side of Elliott and Sid's neighborhood, if you didn't go kind of south down those roads, like you wouldn't see it because it's all on the same side of everybody's houses.
So we did. So that's March or April. You did that inspection. April.
The original one was March 9th, and on April 28th, because I was doing the lawn inspection, I went around and rechecked our entire list from March to make sure there weren't people that were in compliance that just didn't send an email like they were supposed to, or call Ashley and let her know they were done. So there were probably 15 or 20 houses that fixed the issue and just didn't send it, so it was good I went and rechecked. It's just extra work.
Can you make a note in the minutes that our next pressure washing inspection should be in October? That way.
Yeah, it
before
was
the
gonna
next
be,
pool
I think we already had it scheduled for. I
We
don't-
talked about doing it like March, April, and
Yeah.
October, right? Because that's about 6 months, and for anybody who's new to South Carolina and new to the South, about 6 months is how long it takes for your house to get really bad. Okay.
You're still my neighbor until you move out.
3 days.
You too.
That's what you think.
Oh boy, I'm gonna miss this.
Flat tires on the moving truck.
Right.
Moving trucks are already gone.
Are you
man.
serious?
I'm just gonna hit up the motorcycle.
We're living on the bare essentials right now.
Oh my
Dang.
We have
gosh.
one couch and a kitchen table, and that's
I'm not
it.
worried. His dog is so friendly. I can
Man.
say, come here. Come here. Come to my house.
Nope, my dog goes with me. You can have my wife, you ain't getting my dog. Is that recorded?
Yes,
recorded.
it is.
So lucky
She's
she
not
does
gonna
not
watch
watch any of these.
Somebody gonna tell on you.
Yeah, we originally said it was
It's
gonna be
totally gonna be
September and
me.
March,
Right.
but it may make sense to generally just do it April
I'm gonna go home
and
right now and tell her that.
October.
Oh, don't do that.
Early
That's how
spring,
you
late
roll.
fall.
I
All
know.
right.
I gotta go and
guarantee
look
you,
at them
you
all
guys
twice
remember the
anyway.
dating game
See if
when
people
you-
did.
when a couple would come
Yeah,
out and
hopefully,
they'd ask
obviously,
for-
it is-
It's gonna end up being
Yeah.
4 times,
Yeah.
because I gotta go back
One
and
of
So
the
check.
questions
technically,
they asked
we just
my
won't
wife
issue
was,
any
if your
new
house was on fire,
violations
what would
until
your answer
October.
say?
So anybody who's
Guarantee you
who's
say-
already got your violation, that exists.
Yep.
I can see some-
That also doesn't include
And
the
she'd be
weekly
right.
trip to go see whatever houses said that they're now in compliance. And I gotta
We
go
look,
and
you ain't
make
gotta
sure.
worry about that.
Like the one
She
house
was
thing,
gone
they said
one
they
day,
got pressure
she'd be
washed.
like,
I don't know
"Oh,
if the guy
Lord."
doesn't live there,
Oh, my
but
goodness.
they didn't get pressure washed. So they emailed me back like a week
You
later
should
saying,
see
okay,
where
go
they're
check
living,
now.
where they're gonna be moving
Nice.
into.
So I don't
They may have
know.
hired
I don't know if they
somebody to
hired
do it.
somebody like, yeah, we did it. I'm like, your house is green. They didn't do it.
Right?
Okay, so that's everything except for.
Oh, I'm coming to the house.
It's like, he's gonna be living in that
It's all
one,
the committees.
pretty much, full time, right?
That's pretty much how it's gonna work, I think.
I feel like there's
See?
something I'm forgetting.
I will look into the reserve study tomorrow and send you a note
When's
on
the
how
next
the
meeting?
townhome roofs are
July?
scheduled to be replaced.
So
July.
action items. So action items.
So
yeah.
that's
Action
Action
items
items.
or what?
Action items are Sid's going to check the
Schedule for
reserve
roof
study,
replacement.
yeah, roof replacement and the reserve schedule or reserve study. Yeah, whatever. However he worded it. I like his wording. Ellie is going to get back to me on whether I'm paying $300 to rip the tree out, or am I going to go help cut down a tree
Yeah.
or whatever.
Flowers or rock garden, we're gonna,
So you use some
Probably.
options for
Yep.
the islands.
and then talk about when to do the pine needles again. That'll probably be done, I would assume within the next week or two.
Is it already scheduled, or is that something we're going to try to discuss?
No, it's already scheduled.
Normally those
okay.
get done spring and fall.
Yeah.
So we'll follow up on the pine needles as part of our action plan.
Yes.
And then Rob's gonna get the chemical check so we can learn how to do that chemical.
I know we
Cool
didn't talk
chemical
about, we didn't talk about social. Said the same thing I said in the thing before.
We haven't spent anything on social yet this year.
Well, and same thing I said in the video that I put out that got some rabble rouse, but I think people understood once I explained it again. We're not spending money on parties when we've got grass that needs to be mowed and things that need to be fixed. We need to make sure our house is in order before we
So you're
start
gonna
throwing
take that
parties.
follows proof things, that,
So yeah, that's why we're not scheduling much social stuff. We need to make sure that all of our bills are paid properly. We don't take social. So the social budget mostly is covered by things like our fines and fees and the pool fob sales and stuff like that. Which pool fob sales? That's the other thing I was going to throw out about the pool. It's funny now that I've announced to everybody, look, we've given out free pool fobs for the last few years to get everybody taken care of. No more free pool fobs. I've only had 2 pool fob requests this year. So.
I don't even know what mine is.
It's, once they went to
I like
$20
those
every
things.
time you need a new replacement, we're not doing any more free ones.
How much are they?
That's
Tell
it.
them.
$20.
$20.
Yep.
Okay.
I put a big thing out about that. I made sure people understood. If you need a replacement, $20. We've replaced them for free several times for people.
And where do
who
they go to
had
get
issues.
a free, the $20 food pop?
They
Food
send
pop?
an email to almondglennhoa@gmail.com, or they let Ashley know over at AMG, and she'll
Okay.
make sure I know, and I can program it for you right there on site. And it all depends how nice you are to me, whether or not I drop everything I'm doing and run over and program it. Which I had a guy who was nice to me the other day, programmed it for him that day. If you're mean to me, busy.
I'll be busy for a while.
It's like, just be nice. Just say, hey Rob, can you help me out? I need a pool fob. And I'm like,
It's gonna be a
I'll
nice
probably
pool
drop
weekend.
everything I'm doing to go help
It's
you.
supposed to be 90 degrees on Saturday?
Yes.
It'll be pool time
Yes.
Saturday.
All right, thank you everybody for coming.
Oh, I
Need
will be
over.
having a huge
So we're having a meeting in
graduation
July
party.
before.
Oh yeah, that was the other
elections.
thing. Yeah, there'll be
Say what now?
there's always something else.
What?
July is the annual meeting.
Yes.
The date for the annual meeting, because we have our meetings on the second Monday of every other month. The date for the July meeting is July the 8th, 6 p.m. here. The first half hour, I'll send out as part of the whole thing for the agenda. The first half hour will be dedicated to the final board's meeting to do anything we need to do, like vote that money to be moved over.
All right.
And then we'll do the elections, and then whoever wins can stand there and talk to people.
Awesome.
I won't
Good night,
be here.
everybody. Thank you for coming.
Bye.
All right.
She looks like she's potential.